Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic refused. You know the drill. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips and surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. So, where we left off the other day, folks, we're keeping it short and sweet, even though I do got quite a bit to complain about. Maybe another time, right? Okay. Alright, the only labeling suggestion the commenter offers regards labeling the device for use only in individuals refractory to other treatments, which is how the JRC's GED devices are currently labeled. In other words, we're saying just make sure it's only for the worst people. Do you understand or comprehend how monstrous that is? There is an inherent, very strong, very old string of ableism throughout the whole medical model. All right. It in particular to those who are autistic and nonverbal. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. The individuals that they call the most refractory and dangerous are generally the folks who are nonverbal. And you can only use it on them. To put it another way, they're saying you can only use it on the individuals who can't tell others what is wrong. You can only use it on literally the most vulnerable of your school population. And they consider this as a reasonable suggestion. First off, like the FDA says here, JRC already says that they do exactly that. They don't, but that's how they put it. Number 2, by limiting the amount of people who are on the device, it again does not take away or in any way reduce or get rid of any of the risks that have been labeled by the FDA, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, ARC, and multiple other advocacy organizations, service providers, clinical study locations, research institutes the world over. Okay? You're still using the device on people who are literally unable to articulate very well, anyway, of what you're doing to them that's wrong. It is absolutely monstrous. It's barbaric. barbaric. And to even put that forward as a suggestion on how to make things better for the device, you need to be kicked out of your field and not allowed within 50 feet of any hospital, medical facility, or mental health facility. Let's go ahead and add in all public schools and colleges as well. Alright? It's monstrous. Second of all, it does not in any way, shape, or form address the risks that have been very clearly lined out by the FDA and repeated ad nauseum over and over and over again throughout this document. Limiting the folks who are on the device does not take away second and third degree burns. Limiting the individuals who are stuck on the device does not get kids unshocked, their sleep left undisturbed. It essentially does nothing. The risk factors are still there. Just because you're trying to limit the exposure to it to a smaller group does not in any way, shape, or form remove the risks of the device. For the love of God, put the crack pipe down. Okay? Proper labeling does nothing here. Legitimately, literally nothing. Let's continue, shall we? As explained in the comment response 30, if such a subpopulation does exist, it is very difficult to define. In particular, folks, because a majority of neurodivergent diagnoses are all fluid. I can be putting on an Oscar-worthy performance tomorrow. That would get me an Oscar or Academy Award, as Bugs Bunny used to say. And then the very next day be rendered almost completely useless. Nonverbal or stumbling very, very much in trying to speak. If it's a day the PTSD hits and I've had a flashback, you might have meltdowns and self-injurious behavior going on. Because remember, in reality, we understand that these behaviors are never going to go away completely. You get my point, right? You can't really nail it down to that. Also, I don't care how difficult an individual happens to be. The answer isn't replacing self-abuse with having a staff member abuse you instead. This makes no coherent logical sense. The kid is still being abused. It doesn't make it better that it's a staff member doing it instead of the kid doing it to themselves. How can you all justify or even wrap your mind around this concept? It makes 0 sense. 0 sense. Okay? Let's continue, shall we? Even if such a population could be defined, specifying this limitation and labeling would not correct or eliminate the risks for those individuals. Thank you. All those risks would still be there. Those kids that it would be used on would still be getting second and third degree burns, still getting woken up in the middle of the night and strapped on 4-point board, shocked 72 times each. What risks is it eliminating for those who are stuck wearing the human shock collar? None. None at all. This is not a coherent argument. Stop smoking crack, or at least for the love of God, stop trying to write out comments when you are drunk off your ass, because, yeah, jeez. Y'all should be embarrassed. At the very least, embarrassed. Alright. Further, as discussed in the comment responses regarding effects, no subpopulation has been identified in which ESDs are more likely to be effective, and thus the risks of ESDs would still outweigh the benefits. In fact, we still have no idea other outside of the immediate response to the shocks that it has any effect at all, especially in regards to the longevity of the changes. Because just like us Gen X folks, when the threat of violence is no longer over our head, right? Just saying. Similarly, as recognized by panel members who were asked, limiting the indications to a subpopulation of individuals who engage in life-threatening behaviors would not mitigate the risk for those individuals, and there is no evidence that the device is effective in such a subpopulation. Precisely. And you can sit there, but the evidence, look at these charts from the JRC. I could have cooked up better scientific study results and data when I was in the 6th grade than whatever the hell that clinical study was supposed to be from Dr. Israel. I could at least cite my damn sources, name the controls. Good Lord. That's not evidence. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be, but it's sure as hell not evidence. All right, let's go ahead and finish up, shall we? Accordingly, limiting the use of the device to a narrower population, though labeling, would also not correct or eliminate the risks. Changing the labeling does nothing. It solves nothing. It does not mitigate any of the risk factors whatsoever. And the only thing we actually know for sure regards to the GED and regards to behavior is just like a sudden punch to the face out of nowhere, it stops a behavior for usually a few seconds. And that's it. And for those people like, but isn't that better than you doing it yourself? How? How is allowing a staff member shot me just below the lethal limit in any way supposed to be better than the self-abuse or means of meltdowns? You're simply switching one abuser, being yourself, for another, which is now the staff. And in actuality, nothing actually changes. We're going to go ahead and close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. You know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.